And hello, it's Welcome in a Pickle. Today, our main focus is going to be talking about the NFL draft. So, Zach, let's go ahead and get into it. Which team do you think did the best in the NFL draft this year?
I'm going to be honest. I think the New York Football Giants did the best this year. They went and got a big old offensive tackle, Eric Flowers, from University of Miami. And I think he was real important to get because their line struggled pretty bad. And you can plug him in at guard, you can plug him in at tackle. And that'll help them out, protecting Mr. Eli Manning and open up holes for Rashad Jennings. And I like their second round pick. They moved up and got Landon Collins, and I think he's just a typical Alabama safety. He's stout. He gets to run. He can make plays in the secondary. A lot of pass breakups. And in the third round, they went and got Owa Odighizuwa or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but he's a good old pass rusher from UCLA. And I think he's real deal.
All right. Well, I had the Oakland Raiders. I really like what they did in the first round, taking Amari Cooper. I think he was definitely one of the safest picks of the draft. He's really good at catching the ball. He'll burn you on deep routes. I really like that pick. Then in the second round, they went and took Mario Edwards Jr. out of Florida State, who's a great pass rusher, and he knows how to really clog up the line. And Florida State did such a good job when they had both Mario Edwards and Eddie Goldman as far as plugging up the defensive line. So I really like what they did in the second round. And then Clyde Walford out of Miami, a really good tight end, physical. He's really good at blocking as well as pass catching in the open field. So I really like what the Oakland Raiders did. I also like what the Chicago Bears did with picking Kevin White, Eddie Goldman, and Haranis Grasu, especially Kevin White, because I really think besides Amari Cooper, he was definitely the second best receiver in this draft. And just some of the crazy plays he made last year.
He's got a chip on his shoulder, too.
Yeah, and he can really go up and get the ball. So I really like what they did as well. Now, Zach, who did you think was the biggest steal of this draft?
The running back from Indiana, I think, Mr. Coleman. I think he's real deal.
I like him. He's really fast.
Yeah.
He can fly, can't he?
Yeah.
I had Randy Gregory at 60 for the Cowboys. As long as he can keep his off the field issues. I know right before the draft he got into problems with the marijuana issues as far as failing his drug test, and he's had some injuries in his past, but this is a guy who was top 15 talent without a doubt in my mind, and to get him at 60 was a really big steal for the Cowboys.
Like all Big 12, like 2 years in a row, too.
Definitely. Yeah, he's a fantastic player, so we'll look out for Randy Gregory for the Dallas Cowboys, so I thought that was a big steal. So next up, we're going to talk about Adrian Peterson and his future with the Vikings with no trade. I really think that now I was actually reading an article earlier today, and his agent looks like he wants a long-term commitment now from the Vikings now that the Vikings said that they weren't going to trade him. They really held their own and not trading him away, didn't buy on any bids. Mm-hmm. So what do you think his future is?
I just don't think he has any leverage. I think he's going to have to play. I think he might hold out, through training camp and stuff like that, but eventually he's going to have to play.
I think the same. He's going to eventually end up playing for this team because at the end of the day, I think the Vikings will somehow give in, and they'll also give him guaranteed money past this year, which I think is like the big thing in his contract, why he's not signing long-term, because he doesn't feel like the Vikings are really committing to him. Mm-hmm. But I think in the future, they'll definitely keep him, and Adrian Peterson will work out a deal to keep him in Minnesota, which would be really good because it looks like Teddy Bridgewater's made some good improvements from last year, and Cordell Peterson looks like he should be able to step up this year from last year after having a slumpish year. So that would really help the Vikings out on offense, I think, if Adrian Peterson, a veteran back, can come back and really produce. So the last thing we're going to talk about on the show today, final standings for next year. So, Zach, let's first talk with the AFC. You have a huge surprise in the East, don't you?
I do. I've actually picked Buffalo. I think with some of their they already had a good defense, right? And then you got Rex Ryan. He's going to be commanding defense. They're going to go up to another level. And then you got Percy Harvin. And you got LaShawn McCoy, you got Charles Clay, and you got Matt Castle to try to help solidify the quarterback position. He's not the best, but I mean, he's going to be good enough to be able to make the plays when you're not running the ball. So
I really think they're going to have to lean on Shady McCoy, but I'm going to have to disagree with you here, and I'm going to have to go with the New England Patriots. I don't think you can pick against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and they've really owned that division in recent years, and I think that they're going to just do it again. I really believe in them. They did lose Vince Wilfork and Darrelle Revis from their defense, though, so two big holes that they'll have to plug up. But I think that they've done so well in the drafts in recent years and in free agency to where they'll be able to shore this up and get back into it.
I think they're going to go more towards the zone scheme, too, in the secondary, try to help out, some of the key losses. But I think they'll be competitive. But I just don't I think either Miami or somebody's going to win the division. Somebody different this year. It's
You
just,
think so?
Yeah.
I think I'd take Buffalo second, Miami third, but I'd still
Yeah.
give it to New England as my first pick. So we'll switch over to the NFC now. And the NFC West, you also have a maybe not as big of a surprise, but it's a surprise too.
I got Arizona. I think if Carson Palmer can stay healthy and make it all the way through the year, I think they would have made more noise, last year if, would have had Palmer back there. Because they were with using like Logan Thomas at one point and stuff like that. I mean,
don't forget John Skelton too.
John Skelton, yeah. So I feel like Seattle's won it like 2 or 3 years in a row. They're just not going to be able to do it, another year.
Do you think the loss of Dan Quinn from the Seattle Seahawks will hinder their defense a little this year?
I think it will. It's kind of like the Bengals of last year. They had a top 5 defense and had top 10 the years before that, and then Zimmer left, and their defense was just shot. And they eventually recovered at the end of the year, but it's gonna take time, because Quinn has had a feel for all the players on the defense and everything. But I think it'll hinder them more than they think. So
we may be looking at another slow start for the Seattle Seahawks to start this year. So those were our big main topics that we wanted to talk about. Well, we're going to take quick picks for boxing tonight. Mayweather or Pacquiao?
Pacquiao all day. So.
Pacquiao. I want Pacquiao to win too, but I think Mayweather's going to end up taking this one. And quick pick for the Kentucky Derby.
I'm going to go with Frosted. He looks cool.
We don't know anything about horse racing. I'm taking Ocho to win it at odds of 24-1 here at the Kentucky Derby. But seriously talking, let's see. We had pulled it up. We actually wanted to know some of the front horses that are going to be in this race. Carpe Diem at a 7-1 is supposed to be pretty good. Dartmouth at 4-1, but I believe American Pharaoh was the best one at 3-1. So those are the main horses you want to watch out for at 6:24 p.m. tonight. It should be coming on, so get ready for the Kentucky Derby. But that's all we've got for this week. Tune in next week. This has been In a Pickle with Karthik Venkatraman and
Mr. Wolf.
Catch you next week.